What's up, I'm Brian here doing another video for you guys, and this time we're taking a look at the entire Transformers Prime Cyberverse line in a tier list. I actually filmed this tier list video a long time ago, and then everything just kind of crapped out. Also, I wanted to be a little more quicker with these because there's so much to talk about. So this was Cyberverse before Cyberverse was Cyberverse. Basically, they took the Legends class toys of the early movie lines, as well I believe they're in Cybertron Classics and Universe Classics, and bumped them up to having two different scales, Legion class and Commander class. They would combine these with a bunch of vehicles to create a whole new world of small-scale Transformers. But the funny thing is they only did it for Dark of the Moon and Transformers Prime. I don't have most of the Transformers Prime stuff, and I've been hyper-focused on it because I wish I could go back and get these. I have like a handful. So to remedy that, I'm just gonna rank them. Here we go, starting off with the Transformers Prime Legion class RC. And I kind of wanted this because I like RC. I think the bike mode is in scale with pretty much everything, but the problem is the robot mode just looks too spindly, so I'm gonna put it in C tier. Next up is Cliff Jumper, and I actually kind of like the look of this. I love how the bumper of the car forms the shoulders. I like the reds and the grays. I think it works pretty well. I'm gonna put it in B tier just to average things out. Bumblebee is actually one that I got because I got it for less than $2 at Superstore. Yeah, it's just a basic little Bumblebee. You know, there's not really much to talk about here. B tier. Haha. B for B tier. Anyways, Autobot Ratchet. Who wouldn't love a mini Autobot Ratchet? Now, a lot of the Legion class toys kind of carried the same weapons, but for Ratchet, it actually made sense. It looked like his proper blade. I think this is cute. I also like the contrast of the red. There's a little bit more going on with that. The Deluxe class toy had a whole lot of weight, so I'm gonna bump this up to A tier. Next up is the Viacon, which didn't really look right to me. It just looked too square, too blocky, and just overall weird. Didn't really have the spindly, kind of sharp look that he has in the show, so I put this in B tier. Breakdown is another figure that I had, and I found out that a lot of people don't like him, and I love him. He's just an adorable little Breakdown. Yeah, he's not the size of Bulkhead as he should be, but I think he's a fun toy, so I put him in A tier. So Dark of the Moon was wrapping up, so we got a couple of movie toys thrown into the line with Soundwave. Now, this is a black version of Soundwave. They did actually make a proper gray one for the Dark of the Moon line, but I guess they also wanted to do him in black. I put him in A tier just because I think he's fine as a Soundwave, but he doesn't really belong here. Same thing with the Dino. It just kind of exists here now. So they did actually name this Mirage, but we know it was meant to be Dino. It's a sideways repaint. I don't like the feet on it because it falls over too often. I'm gonna put it in C tier. Next up is Evac. Now, I should have got this guy back in the day because this is the only mass release version of Evac that we got for the ride. This was the only way, if you didn't go to Universal or you didn't buy it online, if you went to retail, this was the only version of Evac you could get. And I think it looks good, so I'm gonna put him in Prime tier. The Black Bumblebee is a black version of Bumblebee. It looks better, so I bumped it up to A tier, but it's a black Bumblebee. Next up is Flame War, which I did bump it up ahead of RC, mostly because it's Flame War. I just like the idea of Flame War. I need a Flame War in my collection. In fact, I'm gonna bump it up so far as to S tier. Wheeljack is fine, but this single pack version definitely doesn't overtake the one with the vehicle, and I think they were trying to draw more attention to the vehicle version and just had this as a mass release toy. There's too much red, not enough green, the weapon's a bright, obnoxious color, it's not the swords. Yeah, I'm just not into it. Outback, I kind of feel the same way with the Breakdown, and it's fine, you know, I like it. I'm gonna put him in S tier just because Breakdown should be bigger, but for Outback, he should be about that size. Knockout is like the Wheeljack, it's just a lesser version. The weapon is better than the one that's included with Wheeljack, but it doesn't come with the stick and the saw that the main one has. So I'm gonna put this in, I wanna say B tier. Tailgate's actually pretty cool. I'm glad that they actually issued Tailgate. I'm gonna put this one in S tier just because we actually got the character. This was in the show. Next up is the Commanders. We've got Optimus Prime. I like the style of this Optimus Prime. I think it looks very good, especially for the smaller scale. I love the weapons. I love the color, so I'm gonna put this in S tier. I'm also gonna do the same thing for the Megatron, spoiler alert, and I'm also gonna do it for the Bulkhead, mostly because I think just all across the board, they look nice. Bulkhead definitely has some things that aren't accurate, like the wheels over top the shoulders, but I think he really fits his aesthetic. Also, I kind of like the transparent plastic in the chest. Next up is Starscream, which is a figure I have. I'm gonna put this one in A tier, mostly because, well, I think he's fine. I don't know, just the jet cockpit making up the entire arm just throws me off. However, I do like the fact that you're able to plug the weapons onto the first edition. I don't know if anyone knows about that, but that's something you could do. Next up is Ironhide, and I'm also gonna put this in A tier. I'm very happy that we get an Ironhide in the mass release because that was something from Takara, and I really like the transparent weapons. Dreadwing, I'm gonna put in S tier just because I really like Dreadwing and I like the transformation. I think the colors work for this with the transparent yellow and blue. There's also a secondary Optimus Prime that did release for Commander class. This one does not have the battle mask and comes with the swords. I like the idea of it. It replaces most of the blue with gray, which might be a turnoff for some people, but I actually really like how that turned out. They also released an Ultra Magnus, which is based on the same one that was the Voyager. I feel like this was going to be Ultra Magnus in the show, but they just decided to replicate the Optimus Prime design. I think it looks fine. I'm not sure how I feel about the transparent hammer, but I'm sure that the quality is a lot better than the Voyager one. I decided to put this in A tier. Next up, we have a random black version of Bulkhead. I don't know why they decided to do this, but I'm not gonna argue with it because the black and blue really fits. I love this color scheme a lot. Skyquake I also put in the Prime tier just because his brother's there and that would make sense. Now we get to the vehicles. We've got Wheeljack's ship, and I think that this looks very good. It has a transformation feature that I don't really care about, but the initial shape does look like how it appears in the show. I decided to put this in A tier. As well, I decided to put the Driller in S tier because of a couple of reasons. One, I think the Driller colors really work. Two, I think it's a nice design. It's a functional design, not just a weapon for the Decepticons. And also, it comes with Knockout in the proper colors and proper weapons. Bumblebee got a battle suit. Yeah, I don't really care about the C tier. Optimus Prime got a battle suit as well. It's a thing that exists, I guess. I decided to bump it a little higher than the Bumblebee one just because I'm not as insulted by it. It doesn't feel like a thing that's just there for the sake of being there. All right, now we get into Beast Hunters. We've got Bumblebee in his basic form, and this is one that I actually have. This one has a black bra over the chest, but I think the sculpt is actually really cool, and I decided to put it in S tier. I know that sounds insane, but that's a thing that I decided to do. Next up, we got Arachnid, and I'm just gonna put it right at the bottom. I'm just not having fun with it. The weapon doesn't really clip in too well. She falls over all the time. Is she better than the Deluxe? Yes, but is that saying much? Smokescreen, I don't like the shape of this. I don't like the chest. I don't like the head. It's not working for me. Twin Strike looks really cool. I love the sharp design. I like the blue and the yellow. It's a good introduction to the Abominus. Prowl, I like a little bit more than the Smokescreen, but only a little bit just because it's Prowl. The colors are really basic here, which bumps him back down to the same rank. Next up is Soundwave. I want this Soundwave so badly. He looks so good. He's got the spindly look like he should. It's just a tiny little Soundwave. He looks adorable. I want him. This one's going straight to S tier. If I could rank him higher, I would. Hunger's, he's fine. I like him. He's a bulky guy, and that's okay. I decided to put him in A tier. Windracer, I loved the purple wings, but I'm not sure how I feel about the plastic design. And what I mean by that is it's a pearlescent white or off-white. It looks like something that would be brittle, so I'm gonna put him a little bit lower, but not by much. Ripper Snapper and Blight, I decided to put in the same tier just because I love how chunky these guys look. They look like brothers. They look like goons. The Air Viacon is another one that I have, and I wish I got more of them. They're this purple, the wing Viacon. I think it's a lot better than the car version. So yeah, that's awesome. I love it so much. Then we've got Blue Streak, who has a green painted weapon, which looks weird. I never got this toy, and I think most people weren't able to get it. This was at the tail end of Transformers Prime, so everything was just kind of rushed or just didn't really release. But I love the color scheme of this. The bold blue, it actually, kind of works. So I decided to bump this ahead of the Prowl and Smokescreen. The Ace Viacon is the white version, and I wish this was a mass release toy because everyone wanted this version of the Viacon. The silver Takara one was hard to get. I got the silver car version from Robots in Disguise just to have it. So yeah, this one's going in S tier. I can't remember who this is. I think it's Blight as well, but it's a green version of Blight. I put this in S tier just because I love the colors. Also, I just realized that the green one is actually Rock Gut. Dive Bomb is an Autobot version of the Windracer, and I love the blue, red, and white. I decided to put this in S tier as well. Man, this whole wave just sells it. Then we go back to Commanders. We got Optimus Prime, who I like the leg transformation, but he's just not really doing it for me. I'm not a big fan of the weapons. The swords is just kind of lame. The robot design, I don't know. The arms are just not working for me, so I decided to put this in B tier. Predacon I like, but I feel like there's a couple of things that I find annoying. I'm gonna put him in A tier. I don't know how to explain it. It's a little complicated, and I don't feel like explaining it too much because that would take up too much time. Bulkhead for the Beast Hunters design looks like Roadbuster, so I put him in S tier. So they took the Ironhide, they gave him the Beast Hunters armor, but instead of doing Ironhide, they made him into Trail Cutter. And I like the idea of that. I like that Trail Cutter has a whole bunch of weapons. I think this really suits. Then we have Hardshell, which I feel like we should have gotten a Voyager class version of Hardshell. Just make an oversized toy of this. They did it for like the last Deluxes and Voyagers of Transformers Prime. Why wasn't Hardshell one of the choices for that? That was sold like some sort of cake that was hot. Starscream, I'm not really a huge fan of the color scheme. I don't feel like it's much of an upgrade to the original Starscream, and I already complained about that. I'm gonna put him at the second to last tier just because he's better than Arachnid. Then we got Shockwave. This is a figure that I should have got. I don't know why I didn't get it. This one's going in S tier just because it's Shockwave. I think that's a good enough reason. The green and blue Optimus Prime is a green and blue version of the Optimus Prime. I'm gonna put it higher just because it's different. Huffer does not need to be weaponized, but they weaponized him anyway, so I'm gonna put him in S tier. Another Ultra Magnus. This one was hard to find apparently, even though around my area, this wave was everywhere. You could go to any store and find Ultra Magnus, Bludgeon, and the Unicron Megatron. I decided to put this in A tier. I think it really works for the Ultra Magnus. Bludgeon, I don't know how I feel. I don't think it really suits the Shockwave mold with the gun arm, and they decided to throw in the sword from the Optimus Prime. I already didn't like that, and they decided to paint it in red. It would make more sense if they used the sword from the Unicron Megatron and painted that in silver, but I guess that's what they decided to do. I'm gonna put him in, I wanna say B tier just because he's not that bad. It's just not one that I would have chosen. Then we got the Unicron Megatron. It is a brown version of Megatron, but you know what? It actually really works in person. I love the yellow, I love the transparent purple. I'm gonna put this one in S tier. Then we have the Smokescreen with the Skyclaw. This was the only Smokescreen repaint that was actually based on his appearance in Beast Hunters, not the beginning, but the tail end of it. I like the look of the Skyclaw and the paint scheme for the Smokescreen. I mean, my problems with the mold don't go away with this, but at least the ship looks kind of cool. Then Breakdown comes with a suit. I know a lot of people don't like this one. It's like a Silas Breakdown kind of twist thing, and I understand, but I kind of like it. It's also a repaint of that one from the Bumblebee one, so I'm gonna bump it a little higher, but not by much because I also still didn't really care for it. I like the colors of the Breakdown though. Then Bumblebee comes with the Driller. Put it at the same rank. I don't care. Then we've got some 2-packs. We've got Cindersaur with Smokescreen. I love the color scheme of this Smokescreen, and Cindersaur is awesome. Yes, it's only a purple version of the Ripper Snapper, but they gave it a green face. It actually looks a lot better in person and kind of makes sense when you think of Cindersaur. Next up is the Bumblebee, and I think this is Blight. I got the Bumblebee thinking that it was only a single pack release. I got it in the aftermarket. It was meant to come with Blight. I didn't get that, and I really wanted to get this Blight. Next up, we have the Optimus Prime and Predacon 2-pack. I don't know if I care too much. I decided to put it in A rank just because I like the references in here. The colors are based on something, I know that. Then we've got the Hardshell and Shockwave. It's a little more bold with the colors, so I'm gonna put it in a rank less than the other two, but it's not bad.
Announcement edit, Abominus goes into B tier. He's cool and crystally.
Oh, and that's apparently everything. I thought there was more. So with that out of the way, that is my tier list. That is everything from the Transformers Prime Cyberverse line. I thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to all those fun doodads, and I'll see you guys next time.